Hi, welcome back. So we are at the defining function outline. In this outline, we're going to work on the definition of function and how to write our own function defined. First of all, let me give you an example. We have previously worked on writing a short, simple code just to return or to write the Fibonacci number. But this time, I'm going to write it within a block of a defining function. So basically in Python, using the def keyword, which means define a function, and we give it a name. Let's call it fib, and it receives n, which is the up to that n number. For example, the first 50 or 100 or 1000. I want you to follow the exact same thing we did that defined two variables, a and b. Now, if I just write, for example, I am completely out of, I am on the same line, there is no indentation, nothing. If I would have just to write fib as it is with nothing, and then I print down, I will get the line telling me that this fib is defined as a function, all right, just like that. So, which expect you to pass a certain argument. Now, if I would have to write only fib like that, run this, I will run into an error, syntax error, because you say there is a missing one required positional argument, and that is the end that expect you to pass it. Here, for example, say the first 100, you will get the result is fine. So you start with 0, then 1, 1, and 2, 2 plus 1, 3, all the way to 89 plus 55, which will be exceeding the 100. That's why up to 100 it will stop based on the condition that we said, while a is less than that end. One more thing I want to share with you before we proceed. We can start now to utilize the power of this triple code we learned about. And triple code we said, or even the using the double quote in triple form, just like that, either one of them. It helps us now to write kind of a description about the function, what it does. That will help other programmers or people who are utilizing or using the same function to understand what is the functionality or the description of this function. It will help you in the documentation side. Also, alternative, I could have just used the hash code and I write the exact same description. I could assign this, which is the return value from here. I mean, whatever the function is doing, which does the print into a variable. Let's say x is equal fib of 100, all right? Now, the variable x, whatever return from here, it will be stored inside x as a variable. Now, if I would have to run this, I will get the exact same result without any changes, right? Now, but what important things, if I would have to say print x instead of just writing x, so you will end up with something quite a bit weird. That's the last thing called none. Now, basically, if you want to think about it from a logical perspective, what happened up to 89, these printing were happening within or inside the function, but the last one, 9, it happens for this. I know it's maybe hardly, it can make a sense, but trust me, if you take a time to think about it, this last 9, it says assigned to print itself. So instead of using this mechanism, I could rely on something called return. Now here the printing was happening within or inside the function. Instead of that, I'm not going to print, actually, I'm not going to do nothing here. I will just receive an argument and return something to it instead of doing the job here. So basically what I could do, I could just say, for example, I will define a list here. So result, okay, and it's an empty list. There's nothing here. And now basically whatever I'm doing here, I'm gonna like kind of assign or put the value to that list. So instead of this line, I'm gonna just put it as a comment. I would say that result, which is the list that I have just defined, dot append this value a. And after you finish all this, whatever is the result, get into it. After a while is done, I'm gonna return, this is the keyword called return the result, which is actually the list. Would have to run this, I would get a result of a list. So that was a quick just review on things that you can create on your own in a built-in function. So whatever we were doing, instead of doing on a single line of code, we could like compact that in a function and then we reuse it many times. So for example, I could have, say, there is another variable called y, and again I'm going to use, and this time I'm going to have another return value. So I just print x, all right. I could also say print y in there. So I have x and y. Both of them have completely different values, but I'm printing two different lists. So the first list is the first 100 of Fibonacci. The other one is the same exact functional, so I can reuse it as many times as I want. Now we can work on further by defining more on functionality by looking at something called default argument values. That's exactly what we're gonna be looking at in the next section. I'll see you then.